Mike O. Mwangwa helps people discover their self-worth and fulfill purpose. He is a writer, storyteller, pastor and counselor. He has a first degree in zoology from the University of Maiduguri and a master's degree in communication management from Delta State University, Abraka. Mike has 14 cumulative years experience in branch banking operations, working in 2 Nigerian banks. He has been a church leader and trainer for over 20 years. He is a regular feature on radio shows for issues concerning marriage. He has authored 10 impactful books, one of his latest works being If Your Marriage Is Not Working, Work Your Marriage. Michael has a passion for relationships. He is a certified marriage mentor and counselor from the Institute for Marriage and Family Affairs, USA. He is an alumnus of Institute of Counseling in Nigeria, ICN, and a member of Association for Counseling, Matchmaking, and Psychotherapy of Nigeria. He holds a certificate in leadership and management in health from the University of Washington. Mike is married to an adorable woman, Krista, and they have 2 boys, Alex and Winston. They reside in Owerri, Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome Mike O. Mwangwa.
Hallelujah. Praise God. Good morning, everybody. You're welcome to this wonderful conference. This morning, we'll be talking about leading with intent. Leading with intent. Now, we've had a lot of leadership conferences. I'm sure many of you have attended leadership conferences and read leadership books. And most times, we focus on the office of the leader, not really the act of leadership. So most times you hear leadership, and you're thinking of the office that the person occupies. But most times, what really drives leadership is what the leader does, not just his office. So you can have a big name as an office, and then you could have ineffective leadership. So it is actually the action of the leader that makes a difference. So I'll try to read this definition. This is Oxford Dictionary. To lead is to cause a person or animal to go with one by holding them by the hand, a halter, a rope, etc., while moving forward. So to lead is to cause a person or animal to go with you. So there are key things here. If the person is not going with you, you are not leading. If whatever you are doing is not achieving results, you are not leading, because your leadership will be measured by the results you get. So if you have people gathered around you, like someone says that you're walking and nobody is following you, you're not leading, you're taking a walk. So to lead is to cause a person or animal to go with you by holding them by the hand. Again, it means that leading is deliberate. You hold them by the hand. Some people, you actually need to take them to where you want them to get to. So it needs to be deliberate. It needs to be intentional. You can guide them by a rope or anything. Sometimes you guide people with words. And then another thing you should note, it says while moving forward, meaning that the leader himself must be moving forward. You can't remain on the same place or in the same location and you say you are leading people. You should be moving forward for your leadership to be effective. And we have leaders blaming their followers for not doing this, for not doing that, for not moving forward, for not achieving success. Meanwhile, the issue most times is the leader. If you are not moving forward, there is no way the people you are leading will move forward. Okay, so I'm going to share some thoughts on leadership. My outline is there. Just briefly, it says, what does it mean to lead? From where should you lead? And then we have ways to lead, and we'll be done. So what it means to lead, I've already talked about that. Let's look at where you should lead from. Some thoughts on leadership. Number 1, lead from the front. People are looking at you to set the tone. So lead from the front. That's number 1. One way a leader can lead effectively is to be at the front of everybody. Because some people will not do things if they don't see you going ahead of them. Number 2, serve from the middle. So, a leader takes different forms in different situations and in different phases of life. When it comes to doing the actual work, you are not posing as Oga. It says serve from the middle. So there you are in the midst of the people, working with them. We can only assess areas of growth when we are in the game. Don't play aloof or sit on the fence. Jump in. So if you want to achieve results as a leader, you need to be involved. You need to serve from the middle. And at that point, you are not acting as the boss. You are working with them so you can understand their challenges. And then you can guide them accordingly. Then number 3, push from the back. So you can see a leader taking different positions. He knows when to be at the front, he knows when to be in the middle, and he knows when to be at the back. So it's not just one position. You are moving around depending on what you need to do. Push from the back. The essence of leadership rests on your ability to stimulate people forward. So I've said 3 things. Lead from the front, serve from the middle, and then push from the back. Okay. So we are looking now at ways to lead. Ways to lead. We'll be sharing 3 or 4 ways, as we have time. So, ways to lead. Number 1, be generous. Be generous. If you want to be a successful leader, you need to be generous. If you want to lead with intent, you need to be generous. Now, share some personal stories and then some other stories are not personal. But I'm going to make it very simple so that you can relate with what I'm saying. In 2009, March 23rd, 2009, I was in the office one day when my pastor's wife, Mama, walked into my office. She walked into the office with a birthday cake and some drinks, a card, and she brought it to me. And the people in my office were wowed, like, who is this person? I felt so good. And people were beginning to lobby, okay, let me go take this one, let me go take this one. They felt so good. I felt happy. We had a nice time. But you know what? It left an impression in my heart. That act of generosity. She didn't give me money, but she did something that touched me in a big way. That's a leader. Coming down to do something exceptional. Forward to November 2012. My wife, Crystal, and I were praying to get married. And then my pastor, that's Reverend Dan, was going to miss the wedding because he was on a trip. He was going to be on a trip to the U.S. And then, he asked us to shift the wedding by a week and all that. But the next week was going to be environmental sanitation. So we decided to stick to the particular. So he was not going to be around. Okay, so on the day of the wedding, I came to church. And then we saw him in church. He was waiting. And I was wondering what happened. He didn't really tell me what happened until years later. I'm telling you about the generosity of a leader. And he told me that, he was in the meeting in the U.S. because before then he had said if the only way he could make that wedding was if he took a chartered flight. But he was in a meeting in the U.S. and then he had to cut back the meeting a day before the meeting ended. And then he started heading back to Nigeria. They got to the airport and the flight was oversubscribed. And they told people that, okay, this flight is oversubscribed. Let's take some of you, and then but what we're going to offer $600. If you decide to stay back, we'll give you $600 and we'll lodge you in a 5-star hotel. And some people, of course, waited. He did not wait. He kept on waiting. He did not take the $600 because if he had even given me $50, I would dive him. But he did not. You understand? He kept on. The plane was faulty. They had to wait for about 2 hours. Eventually, the flight left. They got to Nigeria. He woke up 3 a.m., got to leave VI, got to the airport and all that. Eventually, he was in church the morning of the wedding. He even had to take his bath in the office because of Michael and Krista. She's protesting. All right, now, this is the point. Now, I've recounted this so that you can understand that little acts of generosity and sacrifice are what will make you build loyalty among your followers. Sometimes it's not the big things. Little acts of generosity. It will make an impression in the hearts of your people. That's how loyalty is built. That's what keeps some followers hooked to a leader. Okay, so let's look at some points to note here. You can put that up. Points to note. So I've said that little acts of generosity and sacrifice to your followers can make an impression. Then number 2, loyalty is built by sacrifice. That's what keeps some followers hooked. Then you need to understand that it is not the pay, not the money that keeps some people. Not, the perks of office. It's those little things that you do that you make an impact in their life and you turn them around. Not fear. You don't guide people by fear. Not that they don't want to leave sometime, but when they think about your generosity, they stay with you. Now let's look at possible matters arising that a leader might face in generosity. Number 1, the leader might be afraid, fear of helping some. Of not helping some. So he's afraid that if he helps some people, some others will not benefit, right? And most times we are taught not to be partial and all that. So you're scared. But the truth is that a true leader cannot help everybody. What your act of generosity is supposed to do is supposed to inspire generosity in other people. So you can't touch everybody. But for instance, I have been touched. Pastor and Mama cannot touch everybody, but I have been touched. And so I have also had the cause to be generous to other people. So sometimes because leaders are afraid that they might help some and not help some, they end up not doing any good at all. So you should not be afraid. You should not allow yourself to be stuck. Stop asking yourself those questions. They said it's the analysis of paralysis, right? So you keep thinking, hey, what would they think? What would they say? And so you end up not doing anything at all. So you may not help everybody, but go ahead and be generous, and then it will inspire generosity in the hearts of others. True leaders cannot help everyone. However, they inspire other leaders to do the same thing for others. Many leaders who have a good heart end up helping no one because of what people will think or what people will say. All right. So number 2, participate. A true leader needs to participate. Jesus said, let us go over to the other side. A true leader needs to participate. During the American Civil War, there was this soldier that was riding on horseback, and he came to a group of men, a group of soldiers. They had a sergeant who was monitoring some other men. He was backing others at them, and these guys were carrying logs of wood and loading it and all that. So the man on horseback came to the sergeant, and he said, why are you not helping those men? And he looked at him and said, do you know who I am? I'm the sergeant. I'm the sergeant in charge. So I give orders and they obey. And so the man on horseback didn't say anything. He just came down from his horse, removed his coat, joined the men to carry the log, did everything. And then when they were done packing, the man who was on horseback climbed his horseback, put on his coat, and he began to go. And the sergeant shouted, come here. You didn't even tell me who you are. And the guy stiffened to a salute. The man on horseback, he said, I'm General George Washington. Now, so, the idea is that the leader must be in Daboski. So, there you are raising your shoulders. When you enter, everybody knows self that leader has come. You are pointing your finger, doing your face one kind, like somebody that drank Alomo. But is that how it should really be? George Washington was on the horseback and he joined the men to help them. So now that you must understand that a true leader needs to participate. He needs to help the people. Real leaders don't just dish out orders. They soil their hands with their team. Maybe the reason your hands are very clean is because you have not joined them to work. That's why all you see are defects. That's why all you see are faults. Because you've not joined them in the game. You've not jumped in. You've not joined them to work. Real leaders participate in the job. And that is one way to build team spirit. People think that when they join people to work, or when they join people to do things, it reduces them. It doesn't. In fact, let's look at benefits of participatory leadership. Now, when you join people to work, when you participate in the job, 1, you inspire your team. 2, they will respect you more. 3, the job will get done faster. 4, it's an opportunity to mentor them directly. And number 5, you will practicalize all you have been telling them. Number 6, also, you will bond with your team. So I've had and seen lots of people in the course of my life who just gave orders and they never participated. Okay, and at the end of the day, you're wondering why you don't get the results that you need to get. No. You need to participate. You need to join them. Don't just send them. Say, I'm the leader. No, join them to do the work. You know, in our culture, in our part of the world, we believe that elders don't participate in work. We believe elders don't participate in work. We believe elders should not do certain things, which is good. But then again, it has affected us negatively in so many ways. Growing up, we've been told we should not talk to leaders, we should not question leaders, we should not say anything. And so we come to a point where even when we start working, or in a nation, they begin to oppress us because your mind has been programmed. So when you see some things, you feel that I don't deserve more than this. You can't talk, you can't speak out. But we must learn to participate. Number 3, a true leader must be unpredictable. You know, Gideon and his 300 men. He said anybody that is afraid should go back. A lot of them went back. They came to water and they began to drink. He wanted to select 300 men. They didn't even know what he was doing. And then God said, okay, those of them that are lapping the water like dogs and all that, let them go back. But those of them who are alert, holding their weapons in one hand, you know, fetching water with their hands and being alert, then you can choose them. So he chose 300. A true leader needs to be unpredictable. You need to have a level of mystery around you if you must succeed as a leader. You know, in my house, I have 2 energetic young men. And then part of what I do as a living, aside the other small jobs, I'm also a referee, professional referee, because I'm always separating fights. So on one of the days, I heard one of the boys, he used a word from inside the house, which I had warned them not to use. And then I shouted, like I said, as the Indaboski of the house, I shouted, Winston, come here now, get here now. And then there was silence. Nobody came. The mother supported and said, can't you hear your dad is calling you? And I shouted, Alex, bring him here now. And so, both of them came cautiously, quietly, because the Indaboski had spoken and he was in a rage. And so, the smaller one was in front and they were walking quietly and they stayed at a safe distance. And then I said, come. And he looked at me, he was watching my hands closely. And then he came and I held him. And I told him quietly, I said, don't do that again. I've already told you, so why are you doing this? But he was still watching my hands. I said, it's okay, go, you can go. He was still watching my hands. And then he left. Now, what he expected Anthony Joshua's punch. But I was not going to do that. A leader needs to be unpredictable. So sometimes when they think you are going to punish them, surprise them. And sometimes when they think you are not going to punish them, surprise them. Oh, seriously. You know, so, but for me, it has worked so many times when people don't know what I'm thinking. The reason why you might have issues is when people are already predicting, they already know what you will do in every situation. They already know what you will say. Deliver, nothing go happen. I say you go shout, you not go do anything. They already know you. But you need to be unpredictable. And then you already have a favorite. When that person commits a crime, you will never punish the person. You know, I remember years ago in the bank, there's this man that used to come in. He would just come in and then, you know, he wants to beat the queue. He will now come to the back where I was and ask us to help him. We'll pay him. And the man will give me 1,000 naira. Thank you, sir. He will go. It became a habit. The second time he came, gave me 1,000. The third time he gave me 1,000. I said, if this guy keeps giving me 1,000, he will control my life. The fourth time the man came, gave me 1,000. I said, oh, go and join the queue. So you need to be unpredictable as a leader. That's where you are able to achieve a lot of things. One of your greatest strengths as a leader will be your ability to stay unpredictable. Your followers will sometimes take advantage of leaders because they know exactly what they will do in a certain situation. Because they know what you will do, they are already thinking ahead. Unpredictability is a skill you must develop as a leader. We can predict how the hands of the clock will move. We can predict the weather. We can predict when the year will end. But for our leaders, deep down within us, we want to know they are not programmed like robots. We want them to take decisions that will vary with the situations. We want them to take decisions that are led by inspiration. We want them to show mental alertness. We want them to show managerial variety. We need them to be impulsive sometimes, because impulsiveness sometimes can be an asset. So I've said 3 things today for the course of time. Number 1, so if you are with me, let's recite it together. What do you need to do as a leader? What ways? Number 1, be generous. Number 2, participate. Number 3, be unpredictable. May the Lord bless His words in Jesus' name.